Hello guys, so you're welcome back to this YouTube channel, and in today's section we are going to consider the curl of a vector field. The curl of a vector field captures the idea of how a fluid may rotate. Now I'm pretty sure we've all watched water drain out of a sink before, and now as the water drains, it doesn't just move straight down, right? It spins around the drain hole in a circular pattern. Now imagine you drop a ball, or should I say a flower, in that spinning water. Obviously, because the water is already spinning, the ball or flower won't remain static. The water around it, that's the ball, pushes it, and it starts rotating on the spots it was dropped. Okay, so that rotation, how fast and also in which direction it is exactly, is what curl is measuring. So curl answers the question at any single point in a field. So with this analogy, then the water in the sink is going to be our field. Now, at any single point in a field where we dropped our ball or flower, how much is the field rotating or circulating around that point? Okay, and also in which direction is that rotation happening? So a large curl simply means strong rotation. That is, the flower or ball or whatever we drop is going to spin faster, right? And a zero curl means no rotation at all. That is, the ball or the flower doesn't spin at all. So other physical examples, if A is a force acting on an object, its circulation is going to be the work done by the force in moving the objects around the contour, right? So curl is a vector point function, and we've already considered what a point function is, right? So this means um, curl gives you a different vector at every point in space. So it's constantly changing. A point vector, just like temperature, right? It's also a scalar field. So for temperature, it's um, it's different at every point, right? So for example, inside the same room, your temperature 15 meters from the AC is obviously going to be different from your temperature standing right under the AC. Okay, so curl A is a vector point function. So it's a vector field. The magnitude and direction of the curl, right, can vary from point to point across your field. And also, normal to an area can point in two opposite directions. If you draw a circle on a table, the normal could point either upward or downward, and both are perfectly valid perpendiculars to the plane of the circle, right? Both are perfectly valid perpendiculars to the plane of the circle. And now the question is, which direction does the curl point? This is resolved using the right hand rule. So it could be in this direction direction. Both are perfectly valid, right? But we'll need to know which the actual normal is. Now, this is resolved using the right hand rule, and here's how to apply it. So, you are going to curl the fingers of your right hand in the direction that you are traversing the loop. Now, your thumb automatically points in the direction of the normal, therefore, the direction of the curl vector. So, it's just practical. You just curl the fingers of your right hand in the direction that you are traversing the loop, right? If this is the loop, in what direction are we traversing it? So, all right, you just curl the fingers of your right hand. So you realize that the normal is going to be in this direction, right? So now the curl of a vector A is written this way. All right, curl of a vector A. And also the curl of a vector field can be expressed in three coordinate systems. So you have the Cartesian, the cylindrical, and the spherical, right? And also there is a general formula to help you derive it. So once again, if you don't want to go through the stress of learning all three at a go, you can just learn the general formula. Now you know your metric coefficients, and then you know your vector components. You just do the substitution to find to derive the specific coordinate system they're asking you to use to solve the question. So yeah, this one here is the general formula. Okay, so right now let's try and derive the coordinate systems from the general formula. Okay, so for Cartesian, the metric coefficients H1, H2, H3. And also we know the vector components A1. So we are just going to do a substitution. So the curl of A is equal to H1, H2, A3 are 1. So 1 over 1. Okay, so since you are considering the Cartesian, our coordinate systems U1. Okay, so let's write that one to here. So on top here we have AU1. So we are going to have AX multiplying H1, which is 1, right? And then A1 is AX. AU2. Now U2 is Y. Multiplying in H2, which is also 1. Okay, so this is what you are going to get. That's what's here. Okay, so we are going to do same for the spherical. So over here, we are going to apply U1, U2, U3 to. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our substitution. H1, H2, H3. Now H1 is 1, H2 is R. Now what's H3? Our H3 is R sine theta. On top we have AU1. Now U1 is R. So now this one is multiplying H1. H1 is still 1. Okay. U1 is also R. So the R. Down here we have H1, A1. H1 is still 1. A1 is AR. And now on to the second column. We have AU2, H2. Now U2 is theta and H2 is R. So we are going to have, okay, and down here we have the U2. Now U2 is theta, so the theta. And over here too, we have H2A2, sorry. H2 is R and A2 is A theta. Now in the final column, we are going to have AU3H3. Now U3 is phi and H3 is R sine theta. U3 once again is, and then finally we have H3A3. Now H3 is what? R sine theta and A3 is A phi. Okay, so this is what you are going to get, 1 over R squared sine theta multiplying whatever is here, right? Okay, and that's what we have here. Now the final thing we are going to do is we are going to do it for the cylindrical. I think you should be able to do it for the cylindrical. Yes. So let's consider this trial question. The question is asking us to find the curl of the vector field F. Now F has been given in the XYZ coordinate system. So let's write it again. Now this is F. They're asking us to find the curl of F. Now we know in the Cartesian coordinate system, the curl is given by this formula. Right. So yeah, so let's do our substitution, right? AX is the magnitude of the vector F. So in this case, it's going to be Fx, right? Fx is the magnitude of the vector F along the x-axis, which is this. Now our Fy is going to be what? 8x to the power 5, y to the power 4. And our Fz is going to be 4x. So let's do the substitution and solve it. So how do we solve this? So we are going to consider this is a 3 by 3 matrix. So we are just going to solve it using the formula, how we do it in algebra. So, okay, and then we are going to solve it. So, differentiating this 4x with respect to y, now this becomes a constant, so it's 0. Since there is no component of y inside there. Similarly, we are going to have 0 here, right? Since there is no z component here. Now we are going to get, what's the differentiating this with respect to 4x is going to give me 4 minus 9y z squared. Alright, so our answer is this.